There's a common thing about what they call it, carbon footprint. Now it's quite vogue to be attentive to how big your carbon footprint is. You know, how much pollution you're dumping into the atmosphere, or whatever, your carbon footprint. We would do much better to be attentive to something deeper that includes the carbon footprint, but a lot more. And that's the energetic footprint. The footprint you impose upon the fine fabric of group consciousness. And that can be a very difficult thing to really even ascertain. But you do well to do the exploration. You do well to ask yourself, what kind of imprint, footprint, do you impose upon the fine fabric of group consciousness? You can ask that question globally. You can ask it about a group you're involved with. The ashram people can, and I really encourage the ashram people, I am very protective of the fine fabric of the group consciousness of the ashram people. That's my baby. You see? And so you would do well to look at all those different levels of your life and ask, what's your imprint on that fabric of group consciousness? What kind of influence do you have on that group dynamic? Are you pulling one of those threads and snaring it up everywhere just by virtue of your sheer presence? Or is your presence something that acts like a healing, soothing balm to the entire fabric? Does it feed or does it twist? Does it support or does it take? And see, that can be a very difficult thing to answer. Oh, no, I'm very supportive. Are you? Are you really? Can you think of a scenario where someone might think they're giving, but really they're taking? They're imposing. But the challenge is you're so into your own body. That's where you live. You can't step out of it and take a look. So it's really hard to get a finger on the pulse of your influence on the fine fabric of your environment. But you need to try. You may not get an answer. You'll never get a concrete, definitive answer, but the exploration tills the soil that facilitates the process. The beauty of the ashram is it's a cloistered group. You know, we're all here, and the influence that each individual has on the fine fabric of the group dynamic is completely obvious to everybody in the group. It's so self-evident. And so that in and of itself sets up a situation where the group helps the individual evolve. If the individual is open to hearing it, open to receiving it, willing to put their finger on that pulse and feel what it is underneath their fingers, you know. And this comes in different forms. It can come in the form of criticism, or it can come in the form of support. And I want to really emphasize the support component right now. People have no idea, it seems to me. They have no idea how precious they are. And they have no idea of the value of their sheer presence. I think because people don't appreciate the gift that they give other people, but through their sheer presence, they feel like they need to one-up that presence. They need to say something clever. They need to do something dramatic. They need to create something. They need to offer something more than just their presence. And the problem with that is even if you do something worthwhile, even if you do something great, even if you do accomplish something, it's built on a false foundation. The false foundation being that what I am, by virtue of my sheer presence, isn't enough. But now I've done this, and so now I'm of value. And now I deserve your honor and respect. And so it's a discounting of the greatest gift that you have to offer another person, even before you get going. And that's another beautiful thing about, I think, the ashram program. And I've told the ashram people this from the time we were how many? 3, or I forget how many we started with. And as you notice, as the group gets bigger, just by virtue of the sheer presence of those beings, that the fine fabric becomes more tangible. It's well said. You can start to feel it. And that's strictly by virtue of people's sheer presence. You know? But man, do we make a mess of it. Sometimes we feel like yes, I value my sheer presence, but she doesn't value my presence. Nor does she. Walk around like that. I got to fight for my value here, otherwise nobody's going to value my sheer presence. They say no drop of love is ever wasted. And like that, no drop of your sheer presence is ever wasted. Maybe people, if they don't recognize it today, they will tomorrow. It's just like honor and integrity. You can't just hang your hat on being honorable for 5 minutes and expect everybody to quiver. You live it. And over time, it starts to become noticed. You know? But you build your life on the foundation of the grandeur of your sheer presence. Is that too long of a phrase? You build your life upon the foundation of the grandeur of your sheer presence. It's the most precious thing. And if anybody can't feel that, that's their problem. How have I said it in the past? I've said it in another way in the past, haven't I? I've said that you don't really understand another person until you can see in that person the divinity that they truly are, and that everything else is just a dance around that divinity. This might be a more palpable way of saying it, a more way of saying it that's more easily related to, huh? You're such a gift, you know. You're such a gift to the world. You have no idea. I have to say, you have no idea. I saw Fern walking down the street the other day, and it's a wave of joy, you know. Because there's Fern. I've felt her before, and there she is again, and it's just divine, you know. And that's the beauty of a community. That's the beauty of what we're building here. It's wonderful.